WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM. And we have with us on the WZRD via Zoom, Jervon Hicks, life coach at Chicago CRED. Welcome, Jervon.
Thanks for having me. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. We heard a lot about Chicago CRED, but how did you first become involved with Chicago CRED, and give our listeners a little background about what a life coach at Chicago CRED does?
I'm gonna move to a better spot. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Yep, just 1 second. Okay. This is better. Now, could you repeat the question?
Oh, absolutely. How did you first become involved with Chicago CRED, and give the our listeners, a little background about what a life coach at Chicago CRED does?
So I got involved with Chicago CRED in 2016. When I came home, I started doing a little outreach work. I was ready to make a complete change, leaving the penitentiary. Didn't want to go back through the same trials and tribulations, and try and be an example of lowering the recidivism rate. So I was given an opportunity to do outreach while Chicago CRED was getting off the ground, in the same hub that I'm working in today. And I was given a chance early 2017 to interview for a life coaching job. I got the job, and I began life coaching April 17th of 2017 was my first day as a life coach, and I've been here ever since. As far as what a life coach does, life coach is more like a mentor, which help kind of like help some of these young men see a different light. And the model is just, pretty much just stay into their lives, help them set goals, be there for them in trying times, be supportive. I also facilitate CBI groups, which is cognitive behavioral intervention. That gives guys a better understanding of when to calm down, and give them some other options on their tool belt besides doing something violent when they get upset. We even assist with getting IDs, birth certificates, clothing, emergency housing. It's an assortment of things. We also have an educational program by Penn Foster where these young men are able to actually get a high school diploma and a graduation, where they're able to walk across the stage with cap and gown. And I'm a lifetime Roseland resident, so it's just in me to give back, try and redirect some of the behavior of these young men. And I always learn that there's no better experience than to learn from someone else's mistakes. So if I made mistakes already, and I'm able to nurture these guys mentally, then they'll be able to absorb some of that information they're given and apply it to themselves moving forward.
Jervon, how did you hear of Chicago CRED?
So again, I was fortunate enough to be doing outreach work in the same building I'm in now, which is the Youth Peace Center of Roseland. It's in the Roseland community, which is a partnership to Chicago CRED, which is Chicago CRED's first partnership. I believe they started in September of 2016. And so I was already working in the building, getting familiar with the model and how they wanted to do things, targeting the individuals that were high risk, whether they've been recently released from prison, known to be a shooter, shot, homeless, no education, and along that line, and just kind of like bring these guys in and build a relationship with them. And once I started seeing some of the individuals, it reminded me of me and the mistakes I was making. So it made it an easy transition for me to help guide them to a different light, and even to setting small goals that we check weekly. And then, of course, a larger scale would be a long-term goal, which is to stay out of prison, get back in school, get a house, get a job that has benefits. Even things small as getting a doctor's appointment. A lot of these guys we deal with never had a checkup or a physical. And so we're just trying to instill in them some dedication, determination, and discipline. So moving forward, they feel comfortable to make some of these decisions that will help better their future.
Yeah, we could see how many of these basic tasks do require time and patience, such as getting an ID, waiting in line, and then going to the right departments to get a copy of a birth certificate, etc. What happened to you on your first day? Because you remember your first day on the job at Chicago CRED. So clearly, April 17, 2017. Do you still remember what happened? What was the most important thing that happened to you on that day?
I think the first I can remember vividly pretty much what I wore, the outfit. I just know I wanted to make my first impression a lasting impression that was worthy and trustworthy of these young men, to want to believe in me and just to want to, it takes a lot for someone that's new to you to open up about their personal lives. So I just remember giving them my personal life before they gave me theirs. I gave them the trials and tribulations I went through, the direction I'm looking forward to in the next 5 years, the things I did that I shouldn't have did, and eliminated the blame game. When they see that you're authentic, these young men see that you're authentic and you sincere, the empathy is different. They levitate to you. It's always had a loving relationship. I got a sense of humor that's probably unmatched, but I also like to laugh. I always tell guys to enjoy this, man. You have to enjoy life every day, and you become more vulnerable when you're trying to change, because you have to put your gun down now. You have to put your weapon away. You have to self-differentiate. And so a lot of these guys we make more vulnerable when we get them involved in the program, because now they're not looking for trouble. They're looking to stay out of trouble. And there's always someone out there who don't care about that. So just kind of trying to guide them around the obstacles that get in their way on a daily basis. But my first day was pretty much meeting guys, having pizza, having conversations, and just getting to know each other. And one of the blessings that I have with this work is I'm working in the same community I spent my 46 years of living there, besides my incarceration years. But a lot of the uncles I was familiar with, aunties, went to the same schools. So I had kind of like a blessing, kind of like a warm handoff. But I still had to put in my own work. And I also do outreach. So, they'll see me in the building and they'll see me on the street. So that's kind of like a plus for me.
Is that how you brought these young men in, or was it how did they first come to that meeting? Let's say on April 17, 2017.
So initially, guys were just at will coming in, because this facility has always been known to do anti-violence work. So at that point, Chicago CRED was fairly new, but the word was getting out because the guys in the neighborhood were passing the word. They were doing stuff like construction, and it started out as like giving guys something to do to tire themselves. So they'll have like 6 hours of work, and then by the time they get off work, they'll be tired. And then they minute behavioral change, and you get clinicians, you get clinical work, educational work, you get life coach one-on-ones where you go in depth with their personal problems, their goals, their achievements, things that are hindering them from moving forward. But just initially, they were coming in pretty much on their own about word of mouth. And just from us being from the community, I'll invite guys and say, well, come on in, we'll do an assessment with them, see where they're educationally and safety-wise, housing-wise, and we know where to move forward from that point.
What about homeless young men? And also, did you have women as well?
So in 2017, no, it was just strictly young men ages 18 to 26. Recently released from prison, been recently shot, known to be a shooter. Again, uneducated or lack of education, housing issues, or safety issues that fit the criteria for us to bring you in and kind of try and like redirect some of that behavior and just help you out overall.
Is there any a qualification that helps you select some people over others, or you accept everybody?
So at this point, I mean, I'm not. No, I don't think any program accepts everybody. We kind of like. So I can give you an example. If you have someone that's not involved with gangs, has a high school diploma, has a good job, I mean, the services. This is where we're trying to get the guys to get to that level, to where they're in school, got their own housing, working a legit 40-hour job a week. As long as you're at risk, there are some that does have that are attached to groups, that are attached to gangs, that still has to get the services because they need to self-differentiate and separate themselves. And so we kind of like give them the tools to do that on a gradual basis. But the door is rarely turned away from anyone.
Mhm.
And even if we don't feel this is a fit for you, we'll find another resource for you. There's different other entities out here we get you involved with. We have great relationships with, so we'll send you to someone that's more applicable for what you're looking for.
When some of your clients want to pursue your program and then want to move out of gangs, do they get a lot of pressure from the gangs to not move out of the gang?
Pressure is part of life. Whether you're part of a gang organization or just a group or a clique, there's always some pushback when you want to do something positive. So we always instill them that you have to notice this. You have to be able to read this. That's why we do a lot of self-reflection. Reflective listening is something we instill in the guys, so they'll be able to translate what they're actually being told. Because you have to think some of these guys are living in a small box, and all they know is street slang, or their family is not as important as they think they are. So it's really not an issue. It's just more so getting guys to understand that if you want to do this, you have to be true to doing it yourself. You can't straddle the fence. You can't be gang banging one day and then try to do the program the next day. So trying to keep them on a straight and narrow with their own decision making. Because at the end of the day, ultimately, it's their decision to make the change. We're just here to assist them and motivate them. We're doing it.
And what about some of the young men that you have helped that did leave the gang? Did they eventually end up being some life coaches, and then some of their fellow gang members follow them, and maybe others that have been released from prison that didn't follow the program, didn't go into the program before, that might they have also been invited to Chicago CRED by those men that you have helped?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. That's part of the process. For each one to bring someone else in. We always push for that. I'm here to advocate for my guys, for the young men, as far as their growth, but also always ask them to bring someone else in. And it's kind of like a motivation when you see you go from hanging out on the block to struggling to get money to now you can come home with a check stub every 2 weeks. You got work boots on, or you telling guys you learned something in cognitive behavioral therapy class, even if it's just power to pause, to calm down, take deep breaths, to meditate. So it started out again in 2017. From then to now, so the model is now we have an outreach team that canvasses the neighborhoods, finds the high risk guys, key individuals, engage them for a few weeks, assess them, see what their safety is, whether they're safe to be here or not. We have different facilities in different locations. Again, we in the Rosen neighborhood where I'm currently working at. So yeah, absolutely, guys are always referring. I'll just give an example. I have one young man who was addicted to popping pills, and he just made a change for his life. Now he's making like $42 an hour doing construction, and this was in 2018. He had never missed a class of construction. He's actually a foreman. He just purchased him a house, maybe like the fall of last year, and he's doing some work around here now when the work is needed, as far as carpentry, painting, and drywall. So yeah, it's always. I have another young man who's a certified chef now from taking culinary arts class. Again, all this was 2018. So there's a lot of It's a lot of developing stories that's like victorious, but then there's also a lot of heartache and tragic moments too. That's difficult to stomach and deal with. But it's far more triumph than tragedy. Yep.
You also mentioned earlier that you would assess whether it's safe for one of your clients to go to the Rosen Center. So what would make a young man going there be unsafe?
Again, everything is geographically done out here with this program. So if this is not a safe neighborhood where you're not comfortable with coming, then we don't force you to come. It's just that simple. And again, we surrounded by different cultural type gangs. Now it's not like the same structured like in the 90s and 80s. It's just more like cliques, and guys are just hanging with you. You may see a GD and a Vice Lord and a Blackstone all hanging together. And years ago it just wasn't being done like that. And so it kind of like helps because the word gets out that, well, these guys in Chicago CRED at the Youth Peace Center are pushing for peace. And it's nothing better than to be able to come out your front door and not have to worry about a car pulling up and someone jumping out to kill you.
What is your relationship, Chicago CRED's relationship with the police?
So, I mean, I believe every program, regardless of what their goals are, has to have some relationship with the police. But as far as working hand to hand, we don't. They do what they do, and we try and keep the guys free and safe. We don't harbor criminals. If you're doing crime, then it's not the place for you. We're not here to provide the police with information, assist them in anything. But it's also important that the police know what we do as it relates to working in the community.
What is the police department's opinion of Chicago CRED?
Well, I couldn't really answer that. I just know I don't have any issues. We've never had any issues. I've been here pretty much from the start. They understand what we do. They understand what our goals are. They understand what we're attempting to do. And again, we understand as law enforcement what their goal is, and that's to stop crime. And they both go hand in hand. The difference is we don't have handcuffs, and we're not putting you in a cell and turning you away. We're trying to put you in this building and give you some keys to put on your tool belt so you don't make those mistakes to where the police are looking for you.
Mm-hmm. Do you know of any instances where the police actually recommend some young men on the street to visit Chicago CRED?
I mean, yeah, I think maybe right when the pandemic started, I had went to a community meeting to where they have a different kind of like task force for the target, like the lower case criminals, they would call. These the guys that just sell little drugs here and there, not shooting at anybody. So of course they'll refer them before it gets to the point where they're about robbing and stealing and shooting at each other. But again, we have a good pulse. We have some great guys on the outreach, great guys in life coaching that's been working in the community, that's from the community, to keep their ears to the street. I'm in charge of our social media piece. I'm always monitoring social media to look for any firecrackers or any fires that need to put out. So yeah, we pretty much to work this job, you got to have your feet on the ground and your ears to the streets. You have to be pretty much hands-on. So that's my answer to that.
How often do flare-ups occur? Is it very, very frequently on social media where conflicts and then that could lead to violence, or is it not that often?
Social media is probably, to me, in my opinion, the number one cause of violence escalating. Things may happen initially spontaneously, but the interactions on social media, where it's mocking the dead or being disrespectful to others, it escalates the violence. Sure.
When you do when you do see something escalating in social media, do you usually know the participants involved so that you could get to them?
You know, a lot of times it don't be the participants. Actually, it be the guys they associated with. So you may have someone that's in the program that's associated with somebody that's being a internet bully that may trickle down and cause him some harm when he's trying to change. We'll address it. I haven't had one incident where I brought up a social media incident where it wasn't cleaned up. Because at the end of the day, you know, you have to deal with reality. And reality is we losing lives out here. And these young men know social media do play a big part of that. So we if you can stay firm on social media, kind of like it's almost like being on the front end before things even happen. So we're able to address. We know who to go target, who to engage with, and it's actually one of the best tools to monitor. And I'm sure law enforcement do their thing, but again, we monitoring to keep our guys safe and alive and to keep conflict down.
Do you have your own people on social media to de-escalate as well? Or is it the escalation usually happens on the street?
I mean, it goes hand in hand. It varies. Some things can be done, but more de-escalation is done hands-on, face-to-face, in person. It's more effective when you're able to sit with young men and you get a pulse on and able to let them talk it out, and having a mediator in the middle so no one's over talking nobody, no one's over right, no one's over wrong. It's just this is where you teach guys to do reflective listening. You got to have some empathy. Like a lot of these guys don't care about too much anything, but when you engage them and ask them what they care about the most of them will say their grandmother, or their mother or their father, and then well, what are you doing to ensure that she's not getting gray hairs from your actions out in the streets? Because it's very tragic. And again, I just was going through one of my folders. I think I got like 13 obituaries in it. And it's just like in the last year. One overdose, I can remember, a motorcycle accident, an accidental shooting, a homicide. It's just, I mean, we always have lessons to learn from other participants' mistakes too. And again, these guys coming from the same neighborhoods, the same high schools, same groups. So they talk with each other. And that's our goal, to find group leaders to where when they're not in programming, they back out in the environment, the community, they know how to conduct themselves.
When you de-escalate, and then let's put it this way, there is a lot of violence going on now. There's like an escalation of violence. What your experience on the street and on social media, where does most of this violence derive? Is it from social media, or is it or do you find that it's from something else? Do you have any insight?
Yeah, well, we've been experiencing a lot of the incidents is internal. That comes from within the group itself. So it was not like it's like, so you have internal beef, right? This means these guys were once cool. May have went to school. You may have found them on pictures together 2 months ago, and now they're trying to kill each other. But what I do find is social media, it escalates issues, right? Some things start from social media, and a lot don't. You know, again, I could just run into you in the store and accidentally step on your shoe and don't say excuse me, and here it is, we have an issue. And the first thing these young guys do is go back to social media and say, well, look, I just was in this neighborhood at this store, and start talking crazy. And then that person will be like, well, they remember that. And so now you got a beef that is stirred up from a group who never even seen each other. So now you're traveling 8 miles to do a shooting and backwards and forth. So, you know, social media is probably the worst invention of this generation, because it's being misused. You know, when I first got into social media, it was for me to contact long lost friends from high school that I hadn't seen in years. Now is to promote whatever it is you want to promote. And I don't know who's in charge of it, but some things shouldn't be allowed. And some people shouldn't be able to have a page once their IP address get banned. But that's just me thinking outside the box. But right now, till the Zuckerbergs or who's ever in charge of these social media sites get a hold and stop letting people depict violence and glorify violence, then we're going to continue to see it.
That's very interesting, Jervon. We are also being joined now by Bill Morton, President of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce and fellow community advocate. Welcome, Bill.
Welcome. Pleased to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Speaking on social media, I do a lot of social media, and I'm the president of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce, a 20 plus year resident. I can tell you back in a certain period of time when we had some people trying to be famous rappers and doing these music videos. Mm-hmm. And then there was retaliation video, and it caused actual physical violence in our streets. And then you know who I could be referring to, this and that, and the whole story. I'm certain. SWAT teams were involved at record release parties on Morse Avenue and all this other stuff. And then there's also that's on YouTube, but on the Facebook side, we had this this guy known as Freaky Nunu, and that was a long time ago. It was like 2007, and he used to have like a burger buns with all the money stacked in it, like he's eating it. And like, all the possessions and the golds and everything, just showing like all the possessions on the bed. So de-escalating and trying to kind of calm this whole thing down. What is the process of that? Do you like physically like contact them? Do you contact them by way of social media? If this rep career thing, I understand, trying to make it in the music business and get up and ahead of it. But with this retaliation, it's just strictly violence and, I guess some sort of business as well. What is your take on this and how to solve this issue in all of our communities?
Yes, that's this picture. She can come right
Okay, so with my opinion on the social media part, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So you brought up a good point. So with de-escalating any conflict, first you have to know the root to the conflict, the origin of the fire, right? It's almost like being a fireman and asking us to go in a 5-story alarm or 5-story building, fire alarm fire without coming out smelling like smoke. It's not going to happen, right? So you have to know the origin of some of these conflicts. Again, I'll probably say 80% of these conflicts were inherited before these guys were even born, right? You have a 19-year-old fighting about something that was done 24 years ago, because it's still a part of his neighborhood. It's still a part of that culture. A lot of these guys get killed and they name the blocks behind the guy that was killed. So if you ever notice that, you have, even with the O block, that come from someone's name, in pretty much any other neighborhood. But you have to be hands-on, and then you have to know how to mediate a conflict or how to de-escalate a conflict. When I did, so you get trained. I've been through numerous training over the past 6 years. But I do know one key to de-escalating a conflict: you have to be a hell of a leader, a hell of a listener, as the middleman. So I would play. I'm neutral to both sides, right? So I'm here to keep the temperature down and keep the peace, so no one is talking over anyone. You always got to give guys the sense to know that you're not always right. Right? You have to let them know that before anything is said, you're not going to always be right. Right? It's two sides to every story. Once guys started understanding what empathy is, then they're able to listen to listen for someone else's feelings. Because a lot of these guys be hurt. You lost 6, 7 of your friends already. It's a harm. To me, one of the worst feelings in the world is to get to a funeral and see that parent who's sitting there crying her tears out, crying his tears out, And that group that he's associated with, not knowing she's putting pretty much the blame on y'all for her son being killed. They're not sitting looking at this until I bring it to them. And so when you get that notion in your head, it gives you the sense to say, you know what, we got to find somebody that's willing to step up. Because again, a lot of these groups, nobody wants to get shot at every day. Nobody. I don't care what they got, even in the military, and they well equipped for this. They don't want to get attacked every day, right? So mediating, de-escalating the situation, you got to have the individuals there, first of all, that's escalating. You can't have a second or third or fourth person that's involved. You need an actual person that's causing the issue on both ends. Once you're able to build the trust in them, bring them together, it's a little bit easy to get the mediation started. But for the most part, the problem with that is how they look to their peers. If you go to this group and say, man, I want to stop shooting at each other, I want to be peace, it's always someone in each group going to stir it back up. It's like a rumor. You know, a rumor to me is worse than AIDS. Once you get it spread out there, it's hard to get rid of it. And again, it's not as bad as it may seem to the media. This is a great city. These great neighborhoods. It's just a lack of guidance in most of these households that these young men are coming out of. Again, I think I had a conversation with my mom yesterday about when you see people, the police ask for help identifying somebody that's clearly being seen on a video from doing a shooting or robbery at the AL station. I know someone in that person's family has to recognize him. So what do? Do you turn your kid in, or do you bring them in and say, well, we need to fix this? Or do you just turn the other cheek? So there's a lot of elements we fight. But one thing we have good, we have a great outreach team that's willing to stick their neck out on the line, no guns, no vests, no none of that. They're just going off pure faith and their street credibility. And I'm with them 100%. So that's how we attack any situation. Social media does help, though. It definitely helps because it gives you an avenue. I may see, you may meet Mr. Morton, but somebody I'm trying to engage, and I may go through your friends list and say, oh, look at my big homie, that's my mutual friend is your mutual friend, and I know I can get them to get to you. So it definitely helps. It definitely helps. But to get the mediation actually accomplished, you got to do some hands-on. I may use social media to gather the people I need, but to get the job done, I need some people that's in here that's willing to listen. I need some great coaches. They got some empathy, some heart, and some compassion about dealing with these young men's problems, so we can try to redirect it.
Do you have I'm certain you do, like emergency situations where things are about to pop, like things are happening now, and you need to get to this person before something really bad happens? And in a situation like that, I know people who try to convince them, well, don't shoot, and if you're going to shoot, please don't shoot while they're with their family around kids. And then another thing that I've heard from others before who are trying to prevent the violence is they would actually pay for them to have a ticket to get out of town if they needed it. I don't know exactly what your preventative measures are. Could you explain a little bit?
I mean, is no measures. We go beyond boundaries without measure. Depending on your issue, if it's life threatening, of course we'll try and get you some emergency housing, your family. And if it's not so life threatening, again, you have to be able to understand what's being told to you, because I can have a participant come in here right now, the greatest actor in the world. He can show me the tears. He can show me the down talk, the empathy, all that. And at the same time, he's just trying to use me to get where he need to be, right? So you have to be a good read. That's why you keep your pulse to the streets. The first thing I'm gonna do is, if you came in, I'll use you for an example, Bill. If you came in right now and say, man, I feel like my life is in danger, such and such is trying to get me, this, that, and the other, yada, yada, yada. Cool, fine. My initial contact is your outreach worker. I'll contact him, because if it's something brewing in the neighborhood, we're gonna hear about it. It's just as simple as that. No question about it. If I find out what you're saying to be true, first thing we do is try and set you up for some emergency housing. We even have to assess who's at that house. Because we have an emergency house, we have to assess who there, because it may be someone there that's attached to the group that's trying to attack you. So the assessment is the most important thing, right? It's not just moving people. I had a participant, again, 2018, and I won't forget this year. It was a great year for this pandemic and all that. He had real life threatening issues. I believe his cousin was killed. I say this week, and then 2 weeks later, another cousin was killed. And I just remember the look in his eyes. Anyway, we were able to move him to Sacramento to some family members' house. He went from there, went to Atlanta. He joined Iman in the City Muslim Action Network. Got him a business going in carpentry. He's doing well now. He's doing armed security. He's able to get his background straight now. So once you want to change, it's definitely success stories that happen. They may be far and few in between as far as really successful. But to me, the most successful story is that young man living that next year. Every year he's living, regardless of if he has a house or not. My success story is not being shot and killed out here in the city of Chicago.
And then as for like, if someone chooses to make a transition from the lifestyle and you're assisting them, what does that look like? How hard is that? Do you have to relocate? You help them find jobs, it sounds like. What is that? Oh,
So,
sorry. Did you hear me?
Yeah, I heard you. Yeah. So you can't put no time to change. Each individual is different. Some take a few months and some take 2 years. Again, we don't have a time lapse to cut you off. Say, well, you've been here 18 months struggling. Everyone is dealing with a struggle. I struggled. I just didn't use a program. I just knew that I didn't have any more room in my background for getting incarcerated anymore. So I just made my mind up and said, you know what? My white flag is me mentoring. So when people I used to have issues with see me, they know I'm mentoring. I've been doing it for 6 years now. There's no question about it. When these guys get them a run, once you get you a run with time period to where you're not involved with your group, you're not around when shootings are being done, you're not on social media instigating or initiating, people start to understand that. And it's clear that you're not on the same path no more. And there are times where guys will give you a pass. They opposing oppositions will give them a pass because they know they're doing Penn Foster and CRED now. They know they seen them at an event for Chicago CRED. But again, it's all up to that individual for that change. If guys want to, it's funny. I was just thinking of this before I got on this call. What's more important to you, your group or your life, right? And so that's how we engage that. Like some of these people got to self-differentiate from what's their real family and a street family. It's a big difference. Once they're able to understand that, then they know it's a lot of love. And then getting inside these homes to get to know some of these parents and some of these relatives, that's also a great help for when this young man ain't doing so well. I can call the grandmother or auntie or mom and say, well, you need to talk to them, because they don't tell their family. I've learned that over the years. They're not going to tell their families most of the things they'll tell me. So I'll just have to break it down to mom and say you're having some issues, but we attack any situation hands on. We don't. It's called priority. We put that first. If you having issues where you feel like your life is in danger, I put down everything else I'm doing for the day until we can start get you rolling to where you're comfortable. Because the worst thing you could do is tell someone something, tell one of these young men something, and you don't fall through. It'll flatline your credibility. So, I do my best to try and keep my word. I never make promises, ever. But what I do promise them is I'll put my best foot forward as long as they do the same about any incident they have. Any incident.
Does it, so every situation is different. When you're trying to break the vicious cycle, like we mentioned earlier about some of these conflicts haven't persisted through the generations. Mm-hmm. Do you have any example of a generational conflict in which Chicago CRED helped break down?
So right now where we are located, it's pretty much close to a busy street. Some years ago, 20-some, Lil Yummy was killed. Christopher Sanders was killed. That's predominantly the most of the guys that come from that same area now. that same era, we get some, so they're living through the history of what happened then, still represent the same group ties, but we're able to redirect that. Because one thing we all come to the agreement with, and again, everything gonna go back to social media. You know, social media can help you and hurt you, regardless of if you being disrespectful. Your ties to certain people can get you caught in the RICO Act, or can get you put in a situation you want to be in. But when it comes to just engaging these guys, it's like some cultural, like you have to go back and say, gangs have always had their own way, right? So, and just going back to Yummy, it was rumored that his own gang had him taken out. You know, I don't know this for sure, but that's what the rumor was. In order for us to change that, you got to understand the history of your environment, of your own community, right? And so we try and teach these guys, right? And a lot of these guys, and for the most part, we've been getting guys that's really looking forward to changing. The relapse to it is running to somebody who don't care about them trying to change. That's our biggest obstacle. Someone you seeing, not willing, caring about. I think I heard you say, Bill, earlier about seeing somebody and if they with their kids, let them go. And some people don't do that. They're gonna get you with regardless of who they see you with. And so just imagine having someone that's been really shooting at people, ready to say, you know what, I'm done. That's a different engagement. You know, we may not be able to bring them in the hub and deal with them here. We may have to go see them somewhere else. But again, it's gonna be relentless. Yes, ma'am. It's gonna be relentless as to how we engage them. But again, culturally, man, I really wish you guys could come out here and just see, like, one day, one of these days, just chaotic. I think I love more the chaos because it gets my adrenaline going. I like when it's a lot of chaos. So yeah, culturally, these guys are real and sound. But again, like I told you, most of these things they're dealing with now, for the most part, most of them weren't even born when it happened.
When you
We were recently on the Brownland train, and we heard somebody saying that they wanted to disconnect with everybody on social media. And one of the he was very loud about this, and he said his strategy is to not just doing that, go through that person's entire friends list and blocking everybody associated with them, and then blocking him.
I highly recommend it.
Not really necessary sometimes.
That's if I had my folder, I'll show you that's my #1 recommendation. If you feel threatened or you have altercation with these, why are they able to see your every move, right? It's nothing but so if me and you have beef, right, and that's what they call it, right? We have friction amongst us. I won't see your name on my time. It would be no Bill Morton on my time. And it's not necessarily about all the people you associate with. I want to get the guys that indulge in a trash talking or in the violence that you promote. I'm gonna delete them, right? Because everybody that's mutual friends to you is not to be deleted. Because then how am I going to get to you if I really want to bring peace, right? And it's why I teach guys, start understanding who you're dealing with. You don't really have, and I had asked this question last Thursday. How many shooters do you think come per group? If there's 40 guys in this group, how many do you think them is actual shooters, right? And the most number they come up with is 5. You may have 2 that's really doing it, then you have another couple of them that's going to do it if they ain't around, and then you got that one is just a radical. He's going to do it regardless. So the other 35 guys is either just trying to get some money, party, or whatever they try, but they're going to pay the price. They're going to pay the price because they're not watching their back like the shooters are.
no, go ahead.
Go ahead. No. I was telling them, go ahead. No, I'm here. Go ahead.
Since the history is so deep and extensive, do you need a graph to remember who's who and what's what and how everybody is related? Or do you just keep that in your mind, in your head?
No, we strategically, I personally strategically sit down with outreach 2-3 times a week, mapping things out. Again, I'm a lifetime resident, so all the blocks that we're funded to work in, I was already familiar with way before Chicago CRED ever existed. And it's still the same groups, they just may have different names. from someone who has passed recently. Even if we have to go to the guys that's older, we already know the names. But the issue right now in Chicago is these guys find so many people to click with. They may have some guys come from out west to do some work for them out here, and they'll go out west and return the favor. So you just got to be on top of it and keep a good relationship with key individuals that's looking to change themselves, and they'll keep you with the valuable information so you know who to target and who to engage when it comes to trying to make peace. We also have a non-aggression agreement that's being signed by our participants as well. Don't let me forget that more important part. And this non-aggression agreement is strictly saying that you're not going to willingly go to none of your opposition's neighborhood and do a shooting. You're not going to go down their block. You're not going to go to the stores that's in their neighborhood. You're going to simply stay out of their way, and they're going to do vice versa. This is signed per participant, as well as the no cell phone policy coming in. The no drug policy. It's a lot of things that's done strategically that people don't see that's done behind the scenes, as far as program managing, program preparation. It's not just about having a participant. It's a lot goes on during that assessment, to where we know the safety level and exactly how to engage this young man. And now that we do have we do service women too now, so a young man or a young woman.
When did you start helping women as well?
I'm gonna say 2019, but don't quote me, 2019 or 2020, one or the other. But it's been for a little minute now, so yeah. And a lot of these females are parents of our young men, some of our young men's child, so they're getting help together. So yeah, it's definitely been very helpful, very helpful.
So is it more effective to have like mother and child together in the program?
Absolutely, absolutely. You get the same behavioral search. For one, to me, CBI is hands down what I call my Lucky Charms of cereal. Once you get it and you understand it, and you're able to apply it for self, it's nothing better. It's just pretty much giving you your options, just like the bottled up effect. You know, it's like the volcano effect. If you keep holding this stuff in, you're gonna explode. When you can simply come get it off your chest. And a lot of guys do that now. They'll come say, man, you know what? I got a participant here right now, told me last week, he said he never talked to nobody like he talked to me. And not that he didn't want to, he just didn't figure nobody cared, right? And I said, I'm sure it's other people care. You just didn't have enough courage to talk about what you need to talk about to get off your chest, because he fairly new to me. I just met him. But out of 2-3 conversations, he said, Mr. Hicks, man, I don't mind talking to you. So again, it's all about relationship building. Without the right relationship, you know, it's an uphill climb forever. You know, but once you build that firm relationship, and I use that CBI and I use motivational interviewing. That's my 80% of my go-to.
When you are have these your participants sign the non-aggression agreement, do you find that they understand it and then they're willing to keep their part in it, keep their word, honor what they signed? You got muted, Jervon, somehow. There we go.
Sorry. So yeah, we for the most part, I haven't heard of anybody breaking it that has signed it. But again, you got to think of the dynamics. Everybody that's in the program is not the entire group. You know, some people that's in a group that's not willing to get in the program. There's some people that is just in the group probably despise of the program because it's taking their friends away and keeping their friends from doing dirt with them and coming to change their lives. So a non-aggression agreement is strictly for individuals who sign up for the program, and it's for your safety and for ours as well. Because again, you have to think Chicago CRED is a program. It's not a crutch. It's not a bulletproof vest. It's not a shield. It's none of that. It's not a promise to keep living forever. Chicago CRED is an avenue. The services we provide from Chicago CRED and the Youth Peace Center is an avenue for you to direct your change in a positive way and change gun violence in a transformative way, all violence in a transformative way. We don't deal with just gun violence, we deal with domestic violence, aggravated battery, whatever violence it is, we're trying to deal with it. Even when we see dogs fight, we don't want to see it.
When you go out to work with your with the with the neighborhood, how often do you find that people think that it, it won't work? Sometimes sometimes they as you're talking with them, they might. Do you find that sometimes they don't believe that it might work, and then you finally are able to convince them, or are you such a convincing presence that that they do see the logic and agree to it? And for those that say that it won't work, do you see that there's some logic to what they're saying as well?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm a firm believer in everyone has their own opinion. I'm also a firm believer in believing in longevity. I've been in the same building since CRED started. There's been a lot of success stories, right? And so when people know the history or the track record, they believe in that, right? They believe in the process. Then you have to think from 2017 to 2022. Right. So over 5 years, that's the program. You got numerous young men and women that's talking great about what the program did for them that we don't even hear about at times. We'll have guys come in this front door and say, well, I heard through such and such that y'all can help me. And it's like a referral, right? You're always going to have people that don't believe it. You have some people. I've been in several scenes of homicides to where the family will be more upset with us for not being there to protect them, as opposed to them being a nurturing family member and protecting each child itself. So, I mean, it varies. People get mad, people hate us. There's people that's going to love us, people that despise us, other organizations, it's all type of entities. But at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer and the model that we push is a working model. I work with other organizations, not just Chicago CRED. There's other entities out here that helps to gather information, and we work collaboratively with. But as far as our model, I'm a firm believer in that it works, and it's been proven that it works. And it only continues to get better. Change is happening every day. If something not working, that's one of the blessings we always ask. We ask our participants what's working and what's not working. I think that's one of Arnie's favorite questions: what's working and what's not working. And so we have our program coordinator. She'll write down what they feel is working, what they feel we need to change, spice up, and we'll get it done. Because at the end of the day, it's about their needs and their wants and their vision. And I'm pushing for more younger life coaches. I have 3 participants that's currently in this building right now. 2 of mine doing case management, and 1 is a program assistant. So, I mean, I want guys to return what we gave them back to the community by being coaches and outreach workers and peer leaders and educational support and educational assistants and program coordinators. This is how the door keep revolving.
This is WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM. And we have with us on WZRD via Zoom, Jervon Hicks, a life coach at Chicago CRED, and also fellow community advocate Bill Morton of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce, president of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce. Jervon, when you do the assessments with the participants, and they indicate what is most difficult for them concerning the program, what do you find is usually the most difficult about the program for them?
That's an easy one. So a lot of these, majority of them is not early people. They don't want to do nothing early. So if we used to have programming like 9 or 10. And so we pushed it to 11:30 now, which is great, but it's always a time thing. And they don't want it to seem CPS-ish. Like, and what I mean by that is it seem like they're in school, right? So we try and make it, we get a lot of group activity, a lot of role play. And then at times you have to teach them to facilitate a group to where it feels normal, it feels real to themselves. But the only pushback we get most of the time is doing things too early. But other than that, these guys start to adapt to being here and adapt to what's going on. Even if we do something early, I'm always a firm believer in the meeting them where they at. So if you are a little late, as long as you're consistent and you ain't trying to come in high, I don't pay the clock no attention. Just come in this group, don't be a distraction, and get engaged. You have to be able to give these guys some type of leeway. Can't be too tough on them.
And speaking on that, it sounds like you do have some requirements. Do you have other requirements to be part of the program?
So, I don't know. So the same requirements to get in the program may change a little bit once you're in the program. Like, we do have competencies like time management, of course, attendance, engagement, professionalism. I don't know what's going on in your outreach phase, but so it's 3 components. It's outreach, programming, and employment and training, right? So you start your outreach phase, you do that for 45 days, and then you'll come to us, and periodically you can elevate, right? And, if you don't have a high school diploma, education is going to be part of your program, right? So you'll do an hour and a half of education, Monday through Friday, up to 4 assignments a week, which will get you to graduate pretty quickly. And then you also have the no cell phone policy. We had a young man come in last week, didn't want to turn his phone in. We simply sent him home, told him not to try again the next day. It's just for safety reasons. Coming in intoxicated, we're gonna send you right back, try again another day. So we try and be firm, meeting where they at. But we still have rules and regulations that they have to oblige by. And does it hurt their pay sometimes? Absolutely. Does it hurt their pride? Absolutely. Does it hurt their ego? Absolutely. And sometimes they have an attitude with you. But I don't mind the attitude because I'm a good character. So I'll talk you right out of your attitude, and you'll be smiling again within minutes, and we'll get past it. But I just never turn my back on them, never down them, never belittle these guys. We also never allow. I personally started, whereas some of these guys don't know each other. So one thing I don't allow is you cornering someone, asking them where they from, and trying to question them. That's a no-no. We don't. Right now we're a brotherhood. Y'all here for the same purpose, right? So where y'all from right now is this address. This is where we from. We're from the Youth Peace Center, Rosen. We're trying to get in, get some education, get some tools to put on your belt so you can help better yourself and others in your community. It's just that simple. It's not easy, but that's the model, man. You got to understand, you got to be true to your own mirror before you be true to someone else's.
Do you see any thing that is happening in your clients' lives that in which your clients are reluctant to accept your assistance? What might be happening sometimes? As just some examples in which they still want to be in the program, but they're reluctant to accept your advice and assistance. In what areas?
One of the worst altercations that may cause something like that is when they lose one of their friends to gun violence. And so it'll be that affects it where it ain't working, it ain't work for him. He still got killed. And so it kind of like throws him in. It can be a tragic death, however it may happen. It's hard to get them, more harder to get them back engaged in program once they lose a loved one, because now they think retaliatorial, right? So we got to engage them on weighing your risk versus your reward, right? You could say that you hurt and you better, but you going to get your lick back is not bringing your friend back, and it's not going to guarantee that you're going to make it back yourself. And so guys, once they lose someone, or even if they lose someone and then they shun away from the program, it happens. Some will lose their guys, or some will happen with a female or a young lady or whatever it may be in their life that'll put them on a downfall, and they'll stop coming. And so, but what we do is we mount up and then go to the house. And when they see you come to their house, there's one thing I know for sure. When these young men or young women see you come to their house, knowing that they've been ignoring your calls, ignoring your texts, it shows them a sense of love. Like, because I don't have to do this. I have kids your age. I don't have to do this. You ignoring my call, but I'm still going to do it because I know you don't know how to express your hurt. These young men don't know how to express their hurt. Their hurt is to shut down and not to talk to anybody. So we're trying to teach them it's something different. When you able to talk, and I always lead by example. I don't just talk the talk, I walk the walk. They didn't see me cry. They didn't see me frustrated. They see me cry a lot. So I mean, I don't play the tough guy role. I try and show my emotions. We live off emotions, whether we like it or not. But it's how you deal with those emotions is going to dictate how long you live. You can't be going out going crazy on everybody because you hurt. You got to figure out a way to lessen that pain. And a lot of times talking to people who you least expect will ease that pain for you. And that's what we're trying to instill in these guys.
That's very interesting that that extra touch, you're going to visit them,
Absolutely.
that often brings them back to the so-called fold.
As a team now, it's not just me personally. So again, once every participant has a life coach, has an outreach worker, has a clinician, has a program coordinator, and has maybe one or two other people within this Chicago CRED organization that they're in direct contact with. They're in direct contact with on a daily basis.
So the whole team actually checks in with every client every day, and is that a key to Chicago CRED's success?
So as far as it goes, like so I'll give you a week. I'm gonna give you a week run. I'll be the participant, and I'm just gonna go off a schedule. I do have education. I'm gonna say I have education. I'll come here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 10:30 to 12. I'll be doing education. 12 o'clock, 12 to 1, I'll be doing a group, whether it's hip hop detox, Minds Over Nines. We have a facilitator that got a group called Minds Over Nine. Use your mind instead of your nine. It's real powerful. I do something I got a group called Safety 101, as well as social media, whereas I go through everybody's page, or we'll go through something like we'll discuss the internet and the mass shooting. So I'll go to one of these pages that has the mass shooting up there, and we'll assess comments, and we'll go through comments, and I'll say, what do you think this comment would make a person do? They say, well, it would make me go crazy because people is like, don't care. And I get them to understand words do hurt. Like it'll be people laughing at a death, right? And I get a reaction from them, and I ask them, well, why do y'all do it? See, if you see it at a mass shooting, you wonder why they're laughing at all these people that killed. Well, why do your guys do it? Why do your friends do it? Right? And they're like, I never thought about that. And so it's just about how you engage. I try and be upfront and not like programmish with it. I try and be spontaneous to where they can relate to it a little bit more. Like our CBIs, to me, it was set for a good kid that they don't want to go bad, and I have to remix it to a bad kid that I want to go good. If I'm saying that correctly, that's how CBI was set up when it was presented to me. It was almost like I could think of a kid that's paid for college. He goes to Harvard. Yeah, he's at Harvard wasting his money doing drugs, right? I have to remix that for the bad guy I want to turn to a good guy. And so that's how we do. I'm actually finna go in a meeting and do some more tweaking to some of these things just to make it fun for the summer, because it's finna get hot. We'll be doing another radio talk in a couple months, and we'll hopefully the numbers will be good. Check back August, early September. Hopefully we got some great numbers. But at the end of the day, the fight is on, and And right now, these high-powered weapons is winning. They winning big time.
The hip hop detox.
Mhm.
When you talked about hip hop detox, is that using hip hop to detox from violence, or is it detoxing from?
It's a combination. Is more so to detox you from violent lyrics that make you feel like you want to portray this image or act this out. I don't think these rappers are really living what they saying. And if they are, this is why they getting locked up now. Right? You talking about murders and shootings and this, that, and the other. You know, you have to use the common sense approach out here. And I think a lot of society have forgot what common sense is. If it's raining outside and you got an umbrella in your hand, clearly you're supposed to open it and keep from getting wet. And that's just not happening out here. Guys are just levitating to whatever gives them some clout, some notoriety, and a little bit of fame. They'll rather get a like than get a hug or love. And whether you push a button and like something that's crazy till you come tell them something positive or tell them you love them. So that's my fight. I tell my guys every day, I love you and I appreciate you coming. Every single one of them. Because you don't have to come here. You don't have to trust us. You don't have to trust the process. But you know, I don't think they hear that enough. So I'm gonna tell it to them. I shake their hand, each and every one of them, shake their hand every day. I always ask, years ago, I used to do this course called Cultural Calm. So what the goal was for me every day to ask you, how did your night go? So every morning I'm gonna ask you about last night because I saw you yesterday early. So today, when I get done with this, I gotta gather my guys up and ask them how their night was. Because a lot of times they'll come in here, and if you don't see them, they'll be going through some things and they'll shut down. So that's why I greet them at the door. But I don't know, I just love the work, man. I just wish that more people would listen and more people would help. A lot of these people don't care out here because it's not happening to their kids or their loved ones. But when it do happen to them, then they get the calling and reaching out. I don't want to be one of them. I want to help while there's no problems in my life, and I'm gonna help if I do have issues. That's just the heart I have for it.
You know, you mentioned the hip hop there. You know, I'm a big fan of a lot of the artists, and I realize that some of them don't take themselves seriously, and some of them are very serious. Are you? How do you distinguish between the two? Like I could say, like, you know, NWA says some say no to drugs and take a stand, but after the show they're just looking for the dope man. Or, you know, Eminem, he's just silly all around and you just can't take it serious. It's for entertainment purposes only. How do you determine what is actual, you know, the detrimental music lyrics and what isn't? Is there any sort of determination?
I mean, everything is opinionated, but again, common sense is common sense. If you're talking about murders and lean and all that, is really a part of the culture right now. To be honest with you, sagging pants. It don't have to even be drugs. You be sagging pants, showing guns on the internet, smoking on the internet. I think it's more based on peer pressure, or wanting to be something that you're not, right? Because when guys realize this, and this how I judge that. I judge that from your change talk. Because I feel like if 3 weeks from the time you came in here, you should be talking a little different. I don't allow them to say the word gang in here. You know, that's culture. You know, like, what's up, gang? I don't want to hear that, right? I don't want to hear the them. I don't want to hear the ops. I don't want to hear you talking about you smoking on nobody. I don't allow none of that. And we don't as a staff. But that's what determines to me what's really getting to who. You know, they have their favorite artists, the Dirks and the young boy. So we try and switch it up and get them to listen to some old music. As soon as they hear it, I'll play you an example. So like if they hear something like this, if they say, so they'll play whatever they play, and then I'll put some on like Something like this. And everybody, like, oh my God, man, my grandma be listening to that when she be cleaning up and cooking. I said, why do you think your grandma? Because it calms her, right? This is calming music. We tired of hearing sirens and people talking about shooting people. You got to think of something different. So during my when I do my group, I have meditation music playing, right? And now you hear guys be like, man, I use that to go to sleep. And I'm like, stop, let me see. And they'll show it to me, they got it downloaded. So it has to grow on them. But as far as these lyrics and you know, to be honest, I always tell people to look at yourself outside of your own skin. So I always take myself outside of Life Coach Hicks and imagine me being a 19, 20, 21-year-old. I'll be enthused too. If I didn't have no role models, yeah, I would want a big gun. Yeah, I would want some rims and chains, and I want to listen to it. I want to ride on the ops. But when you start having something to live for and a purpose, you don't have to start late. Start late for me because I didn't have an avenue then. When you can start young and have a purpose and you can see something in your life, it works out for you. We don't hardly ever lose our guys as far as re-engaging. It's always something, like we had to deal with the PP. That's another thing. So the pandemic has been a real triumph, right? Besides COVID, you know, guys was out here doing PPP loans and whatever else whatever the loans was called. So they had pockets full of money, but you still hear guys come in the program because they looking for change. They looking for. I had a young man tell me last week he just want to be able to talk, learn how to talk to people. He want to just learn how to be able to talk to people, right? Because he can't talk without slang, and that's one of the big steps. We had a class where we teach them how to tie their tie up. It's just you just have to be here sometimes to see. I'm starting to get excited now for this month coming up because we take them on trips. I have 15 tickets to the Cubs game on the 15th. I'm not going to be able to go now because we're going to DC, but I'm going to make sure they still go. They don't know it. They think it's canceled. I'm going to make sure they still get there with 2 mentors, 2 outreach workers. They're going to have them a good time.
You know, and there's a movie called White Light. I don't know if you're familiar, but
Oh, what?
White Light.
White Light?
Yeah, it's an independent film, and we showed it with the Chamber of Commerce at the
Don't go yet.
And you know, they had some people who are involved with drug dealing, and they never got off of their own street. They never got off their block. So at the end, they finally got to take, you know, a riverboat cruise down the Chicago River and see downtown, and their eyes just lit up at the end. That was the ending of part of the end of the movie. You know, I don't know. How many people do you think are in their neighborhood and stuck in a situation for various reasons that have never really traveled or even seen downtown?
Probably 70 to 80% of the people we deal with. Easily. And if they have seen downtown, they ain't seen it on feet. It's just riding. It's a different ride than it is a walk. The downtown is supposed to be enjoyed. Lakeshore Drive is supposed to be rolled. Say it again. Downtown should be enjoyed, where you can get out and hold your girl hand and walk and go in this place and eat and take a picture at this place. Lakeshore Drive is for ride, right? They safety issues, and then with the situation with the rapper, the FBG guy Duck, what happened to him down the Gold Coast area, that just even shows more that it can happen anywhere. You know, these young kids downtown having fun, they playing with guns. So it's more about a person's comfortability. You know, I prefer guys to just stay in the house. You know, I always ask them, do you got a video game? Do you know how to draw? And for the most part, these guys pretty much stay in the house. The guys that's causing the problems is the guys we're trying to really get in the program.
So you do have a kind of like a list of people that you see that are important parts of the puzzle, and then as long as you're able to get those people to participate in Chicago CRED, that would make a difference in affecting a lot of other people in the neighborhood. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. And again, the push is for what are you doing after program hours? So for the few hours I see you every day, you applying what you learning when you're not with me, when you're not in this safe space. Are you in your neighborhood talking safe now? Are you talking change talk? Are you talking peace? You know, are you talking engagement, community engagement? Are you talking brotherhood? Or is that just for here? Because it'll come out. And for the most part, we got peer coaches and everything now. We just started a new trend whereas guys feel comfortable like they accomplished something. When you show someone they accomplished something, whether you give them a plaque, a card, that's the first thing they do is run to Facebook and post it. I love it. You posting something positive. So those people who don't like you, they'll see that you got your high school diploma now. You got your forklifting. You got your CDLs. This is the change that the community want to see, and that eventually turn into your white flag. So with the guys who don't like you, they'll just give you your space. But you got to stay true to your change. Can't have a relapse and then it just don't work that way. And it happens, but for the most part, we don't have those situations. Once guys get on a good track, and you can tell when they're on a good track, and how I know you're on a good track when I start hearing you talk slang less. It takes a while. But when I don't hear all the slang talk no more, I'm like, did he just say cooperative? Or did he just say absolutely? Or yes, ma'am? Or yes, sir? I got to get up and go see where he at and shake his hand. Say, keep working on it. I know it's hard, but keep working on it. Keep working on it. Just got to believe in them. And you got to talk it to an existence with some of these guys. You got to be their motivational force and instill in them some dedication, determination, and discipline. And once they see that's you'll push for them, and smooth sailing from there. It's just that you got to worry about that spontaneous tragedy happen, which you never feel. There's always something happening out here to where these guys are shut down.
Do you have enough jobs to go around for the people who you're trying to help get employed?
So again, I'm gonna be clear about this. Chicago CRED is not a jobs program. It's a program like for behavioral services to help you change your ways. But through the process, a lot of them get jobs, whether you apply for them, we be a referral, we look for them for you. We may have an event, someone may need 4 or 5 workers. It's never ending. It's just having a clean drop, let's be honest, because no one wants to hire you and you on they place of business and you had an accident happen. And then that's just a total loss. You're like a liability. Either you're going to be a liability or asset. We're looking for assets. And so once they're able to have a clean drop and get off these drugs for a couple months, then they start seeing the light. So it's not hard, but it's not easy either.
You've started out by helping the Black men in Roseland, but and now you have women clients as well. What other races or ethnicities does the Chicago CRED also help?
So right now, this predominantly is the whole community is predominantly Black. We do have a Latinx community that we're trying to reach out to and engage in. That's about maybe like a mile and a half from here, or maybe 2. But it's kind of hard because it's been a brewing conflict since I was 13 with these guys, and I'm 46 now. So that was like 33 years ago. So that's the priority we're trying to do now, get into that Latin community, find a couple of leaders, a couple of key individuals, maybe offer them some services as well as some outreach opportunities to work in their own community to keep the Black versus Latino issue down. But that's pretty much what we're working with, because pretty much roles in this is we don't have any other races that's around here that's having issues with our African American gang culture or clique culture, whatever you want to call it. It's never been a Black versus white thing. It has been a Black versus Latino thing though, and that's been since I've been little. So it's just dynamically set up that way. They have their own small little section in the West Pullman area, that we have been religiously trying to engage in. It has been a couple homicides over the years, so there's been some finger pointing. No one knows rumor from fact, but I do know that'll be a great addition once we're able to get engaged with that community and infiltrate those guys and bring them on board to what the motto is.
Well, back in 2017, when you were working in the same building as Chicago CRED, so was it actually, let's clarify, was it actually you seeing the work that they were doing and that they were starting off to do, because they only started in 2016? Was it you that approached them first, or did they see in you the person that you described that has so many connections to the neighborhood and would be a valuable member of the team?
So yeah, absolutely. I remember. So again, when Chicago CRED started here in the same building I'm sitting in right now, I was already doing outreach work out of this building, right? And so once the outreach fund had ended, I was asked to do an interview, and I played sports my whole life. And once I hear the word coach, whatever's attached to, I know it's about guidance. So I'm like, okay, cool, I'll give it a try. I was given an opportunity. I think I had my first interview, then my second interview may have been with Arnie Duncan involved. And I just remember him just asking me to keep it real. Let's just talk. And I just, I told him, straight from the heart that, what I know wouldn't work, and what I felt would work, and what I knew wouldn't work is a lot of talking. It's not going to get it. But what will work if you get on the ground, actually getting these guys' face, hit these blocks. And it's been a blessing ever since. Never had one issue. If you ever talk to any of my participants that I have currently or in the past, they'll tell you that Hicks ain't going to let up. I'm not going to let up. I'm not. That's what they need. Every time you think you're going to do something wrong, I'm going to pop up on your page. I'm going to pop up at your house. I'm going to go to your baby mama's house. I'm going to go to the football game to catch you, because I know that's going to make me feel better. It's always easier for me to sleep knowing I gave 100% as opposed to me sitting up worrying about, did I do enough? But I still don't let the job get to me, because this job will make you need a lot of self-care.
Yes. So you believe in the program so strongly because you see that, well, then actually you were never a participant. You were never a client. You started off as an outreach worker, right? Because I wanted to ask you, did Chicago CRED actually help you? But evidently,
it has. So and again, everything you're saying, I love it, because these part of the groups I have, I always initiate that in my group to let these guys know I'm learning from them as well. I'm using CBI as well. I'm not just facilitating it. I'm using it as well. The cognitive behavior, I'm using competencies as well. I need to be at work on time. I need to be professional. I need to know, I need to be able to speak professionally. All these things that I'm trying to instill in them, I have to model myself. I have to be a mirror of this. I can't be saying one thing and then that you see me around the corner talking all this crazy slang talk, you don't know what's going on. So you got to be a mirror of what you're trying to push. And I've learned a lot from Chicago CRED. One of the main things I learn is never to give up on anyone. Never give up. I also learned that you have to be real good at reflective listening. We had a young man in 2018, I believe, that had committed suicide. He actually killed his girlfriend. And, according to the people sat with the body for some hours, I guess, contemplating like what he's going to do next. Now, of course, we didn't know this in the process of this happening. But he ended up taking his own life as well. And that was the first participant that we had lost to gun violence. It was the first participant. It's kind of hard thinking about it because I could picture him. It was working, cleaning up fields. He was doing good. He was getting nice little checks they was getting, and all of them was buying cars and the necessary. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because what that taught me is that when someone's quiet, you need to figure out a way to make them make some noise. And I'm not talking about scream. You need to be able to put that individual to the side and see if there's anything going on. But he had typically been a quiet guy. But it had been a lot quieter than usual for them few days. And I don't know, man. I think about this often, but I just always wondered if we would have gave us another sign, would that still have happened, right? So it just taught me when they'll tell you if I see them sitting quiet, you got to smile and show me a handshake, and because suicide is at a high rate, not just for officers and Marines. It's for young men who don't see a way out. They don't see a way out. They don't see no help. They got themselves into things they don't want to talk about. They feel like their life is over, and it just happens. Just same thing as taking a lot of them drugs. We had another guy died in 2020 from an overdose after I literally told him to stop them pills. Literally the next day, he didn't get up. So it's a lot of stories behind it. No, Arnie always talked to me about, taking care of myself. But taking care of myself is part of being here. This work has been very therapeutic for me. Without this job, who knows? Who knows if I even still be living now? Had I went back to the streets. But Chicago CRED has done a lot for me. The Youth Peace Center role has done a lot for me. They believed in me. They trusted me. They follow my process of time. They believe my decisions. I feel the unity here. I feel the commitment, the integrity, the loyalty, and just the push for teamwork. This is always like a family. I never even heard none of our staff argue. And it's just not for radio. I'm just being honest with you. Never heard. We may have disagreement, but we never had an argument. It don't, because we know if these young men see us arguing, then whether they're gonna believe in us about making peace if we argue amongst each other.
Right. When you mentioned that that young man that the first client that committed suicide. So what did you learn that when people become quiet like that something might be going on? Is that
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Because at that point, me being a fresh coach around that time, new to the coaching or new to the model, you want to give people their space. But there's sometimes where you can't risk it, can't afford to give them their space. You have to invade it, impede it. They get an attitude, fine, that's okay, cool. But it's just learning how to approach a potential threat or potential problem, no matter what form it is. Because as a participant, I ain't got nothing but the best interest at heart, so I couldn't be your threat. However, they go through some things emotionally, relationship-wise with their girlfriends. They just can't handle it. I was young too at one point, and I'm human now. I have my days, but I already know I'm not gonna go to the point where I'm gonna even remotely think about doing any harm to me, let alone anybody else. But it's hard for when you grew up abused. He had a lot of other things that I found out after that, but again, that's why assessments is real important. The relationship you have, how deep you digging in the assessment. It's based mainly around safety and housing. But you got to get into that personal being about how a person feel about themselves. What have they going through? What have you been through lately? When the last time you've been through a tragic moment? When was the last time you've been to a funeral? Who was it? All these questions you need to know, man. Have you ever felt suicidal? I just learned a lot. It taught me a lot to put in my tool belt moving forward, how to engage other participants, and just never to take life for granted, regardless of who you're dealing with and where you at. Just got to enjoy being here.
Let's do a community assessment with you. WZRD Chicago, being a nonprofit radio station, must be responsible to the community we serve. WZRD is mandated to file quarterly issues with the FCC on non-entertainment, community-focused programming. And we like to assess the community for these quarterly issue topics with 3 questions. First, what is most important to you? You have a lot of things that are important to you, but what would you feel is the most important to you?
Was this based on community or just me in life?
You in life, because the
So
community is involved in you as well.
What's most important to me, and it's probably going to remain important to me, is making sure my mom is proud of me from this point forward. I've caused a lot of headache, a lot of pain, a lot of gray hairs. I'm sure probably all that gray hair. But for her to call me nowadays and say, "Son, I really love what you're doing." I got to one of my coworkers was telling me, just to hear her, it's just like a load off of me. I'm used to being in the penitentiary, getting letters from her. Now I can send her some money when she needs something, or if she needs anything. Like her last 2 or 3 birthdays, it's been easy for me to deal with because I was financially okay to make some moves, and just to make sure she know that I'm on the right path now. Because I come from playing with guns. I know how powerful that weapon is, and the sense of invincibility it gives a person. So for me to put it down and be able to transition, despite what people want to do to me or who don't like me, I took the chance, and here it is. About 6 years later, I'm enjoying myself. I'm enjoying myself with what I do.
What long-term problem must we address?
Long-term problem. Long-term problem is parents holding their kids to some type of accountability. And I know people probably gonna attack me for this, but there's nowhere in the world that all this stuff be happening and don't nobody recognize their kids. And put slash making social media a little more stricter. I think you get too many strikes. The people be doing some stuff that I can imagine me being young, unguided. I'd probably be looking to get them too. So yeah, definitely figuring out a way to make social media more friendly.
Finally, what problem must be addressed now?
What problem must be addressed in Rosen? I think we must address a lot of abandoned properties. A lot of abandoned properties. That's the number one thing. I think a lot of these properties need to be turned into shelters, places where people can go learn something that you don't have to go to. You don't have to have a school to have a learning environment, man. You just need a safe space. I think they just need to utilize a lot of these abandoned buildings, and as well as knock those down that's unusable, because a lot of crime is being committed around these abandoned places.
That's excellent, Jervon. I think we missed 2 of the questions that we still wanted to ask you about Chicago CRED.
Go ahead.
If people from other neighborhoods request help, is Chicago CRED able to pair these requests with Chicago CRED partner organizations, such as if that neighborhood does not have a partner organization?
Oh yeah, so that's an easy one. Absolutely. We have guys come here often that's not from this side of the city, but we'll make the call. I'll make it personally. I have a lot of relationships with probably every organization out here, but I'll make the referral depending on my quick assessment on what he really needs. Again, education is one of our biggest pieces, along with the CBI piece. So when guys say, I don't have a high school diploma, light bulb goes on, because I ain't met one guy yet that didn't have one that got it, that wasn't happy and more proud of themselves than I ever seen them. So I definitely We don't we're not the type to just keep things to ourselves. Because this may not be for you. It may not be a fit for you. So I don't mind. I'm gonna send you to wherever that's one thing I tell people. I don't do this work to get trophies. Right? I don't do this work. It's not a trophy or accolades you can give me. I do it because it's therapeutic. There's no better feeling for me to go home and say, I gave my best today. Even when I'm sick and tired, even though I feel like it ain't working, I'm gonna still give my best because we deal with it like a teamwork effect. So yeah, we'll definitely refer. We have a coach here goes by the name of Richard Blackman, who's probably calling the referral king. I don't know what number he don't have. He might can call the White House. I don't know, but whether he won't license, he took 12, 14 guys to get their license some months ago. So that was a heck of a feat there. So yeah, we definitely big on referrals and referring to drug programs. It's not just different programs, just what do you need to get yourself back on track? That's what we're gonna do.
What is the most difficult part of working in Chicago CRED? Let's put it this way. What tools or resources would help Chicago CRED do an even better job of what it's doing now? What is the most, what do you need the most so that you could do your job most effectively? Maybe that's the best way to phrase it.
I don't think me doing my job effectively has anything to do with what I think is needed. What I do think is needed more is more job opportunities from some of these people who do a lot of complaining about the violence that's going on in the city of Chicago, that has businesses, that has organizations, that has warehouses, for them to offer some of these young men a place to work that's outside of this environment at the end, which is safe for them. So shout out to people from up north. If you're up north, if you're southwest, south suburbs, I'm pleading to you to give some of these guys some opportunities, man, to showcase their talents. I don't care if it's packing boxes or Ford Motor Company, whatever it is, give these young men a chance to showcase their skills and to become better productively as young men for the community.
Jervon, since you did this interview with us, there might be listeners who are really interested in contacting you. Can they contact you?
Absolutely. You can go by I'll give my cell phone number out. It's area code 312-477-1917. My email is j.hicks@ypcroseland.com. Again, j.hicks@ypcroseland.com, or you can go to 420 j.hicks@gmail.com. For any letters, mail, located at 420 West 111th Street, Chicago, Illinois. 60617 is the zip code. And feel free to send any at-risk young men up here to see me, or women. We'll send them to the women's department, but we look forward to helping whoever we can help. It's going to be summer. Just look forward to having a peaceful summer, as peaceful as we can make it. And I appreciate you guys for allowing me to do this. I do look forward to, I do want to check back in with you guys in 60 days. Hopefully we got some good news out here. But I love doing these interviews.
Awesome. And is it j-hicks at yrcroseland.com, or is it?
It's j.hicks@ypcroseland.
Okay.
Let me type it in the chat for you.
Okay. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
We'll put it in the description. This interview will be published on YouTube, so just type in all your information, and we'll include the information on the description of this interview.
And put both emails. That's one. Gmail. And what else do I have for you?
Address and yeah, address. I know that you put that. You have that. And phone number.
Okay. You got the name already, right?
Yes. Yes. Okay. Well, Jervon Hicks, we really appreciate your coming on WZRD to speak with us about Chicago CRED and all the work that you're doing, which is so important. And we wish you continued success, and we'll check in with you 60 days from now, approximately.
Thank you. And let me make sure I know when so I can hear and let the guys hear this interview.
Yes. And then we'll share this interview with you as well. If you would like to share it around, you're more than welcome to.
Thank you so much. You guys take care.
You too. Thank you. Be safe.
All right. Bye-bye.